Hello and welcome to this episode of Man Alive. I'm your host, Shayna James, and I'm excited to be here today to talk about a topic near and dear to my heart, which is nice guys and the nice guy recovery process, and how men who are kind and caring and loving and trying to make up for all the sins and shittiness of, men who are acting in more toxic ways in the world can actually have the love and relationships they want. And today we are joined by Faisal Koka. Faisal, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Shayna, thank you for having me.
And Faisal is a nice guy. Would you call yourself a nice guy recovery coach?
Yeah, so I'm a nice specialist to helping guys,
Specialist.
it's a nice guy recovery specialist.
Yeah. Yeah. So we tend to do a lot of the same work, I think. I think most of the men who come to me have big hearts and they're often doing really well in many ways in the world, and there's a sense of not being seen or respected or chosen, or not having like the fullness of love and sex and passion and intimacy and success that they want. Oftentimes the men who work with me have a lot of success in the business world
Mm-hmm.
and not as much in the love and relationship world. What has a man come to you?
When you said there's some success in the business world, that's where I was. I was successful in business. I was successful in my background was computer systems and IT. So I'm a left brainer. I understood the language of computer systems, then the language of social and love.
Yeah.
And a lot of the guys come with similar kind of struggles as well. They're a nice guy. They've either read the book from Dr. Glover, No More Mr. Nice Guy, and they're thinking, "Oh my, this is me." And that's where I was. Is I went through a breakup.
Yeah.
Discovered that okay, I wanted to know why I had the struggles and why the breakup happened because I didn't see it coming.
Mm.
A lot of times I ignored it or I fixed it temporarily, thinking that it's
Yes.
worked. And
It
then,
being the dynamic, but with your wife.
yeah, so I think, we're having a problem. I'd instantly get my fix it hat on, go in logically using my left brain, computer systems, all of that. It's all working in there.
Yes.
And I fix the problem. And then I'm chuffed with myself. Okay, the problem's gone and
Chuffed.
everything's
Oh,
okay.
chuffed. Okay, it's just for the English translation. Chuffed is actually a good word.
Yeah, chuffed means
You're
I'm
feeling good about.
happy. Yeah, I'm happy about myself. So I'm happy that I've just solved the problem, logically sorted out. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, here's a solution. This is what we need to do: X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Problem, solution,
Problem
done.
logically done. I'm like, I can feel the cringe in my face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember when she said to me once, you're not listening.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, wait a minute. And then I put my, systems hat on. I said, you said X, Y, and Z and X, Y, and Z. And she said, you're still not listening. And I said, wait a minute. If this was a court case,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I could prove to you I'm listening because it
Uh-huh.
was X, Y,
I've
and Z.
heard everything you said, and here's what it
Yeah.
is. Uh-huh.
And here it is. I can repeat it.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously I was missing something.
Yes. Okay, so let's dive into the deep end. What do you see you were missing?
So when I had my awakening, it was triggered by a divorce. Divorce was very painful
Mm-hmm.
because I just didn't see it coming. And also I had two sons. They were 2 and 5 years old at that time.
Yeah, young. I got
And
divorced
that
straight when mine was one.
one,
Yeah.
it's painful, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
very, very painful.
Yeah.
And that separation of the family, I felt like I felt embarrassed. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like a failure. I felt like, how dare this happens to me?
I remember feeling that too. And I was a relationship coach at the time. I think you weren't.
Oh,
So I had that extra like, oh, whoa, shit. Now I have to tell the world, yes, that
yeah. And
all this falling apart.
I was just a tech nerd guy running his little business, online business.
Yeah.
So that's when I started thinking, okay, I had a choice between do I take 100% responsibility or do I blame her?
Uh-huh.
So
One of
I
them goes
didn't,
well, the other one does not.
yeah. And I just instantly decided I'm going to go left or right. And then I decided to go, okay, I'm going to take 100% responsibility.
Amazing.
I don't know what it means,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna use this opportunity to become a better man.
That's a powerful moment of, I don't know what this means, or I don't even know the how, but I am going to choose to take 100% responsibility and choose to become a better man.
That was it.
Yeah.
Decision made. What followed wasn't an easy process.
No.
That's where it was a shock because as I started to learn about myself, I started to see sides of me that I didn't want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought, hey, I'm a great man. I'm a great catch. I'm good. I'm loving. I'm kind. I mean well.
Yeah.
But that's one side of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when I started getting help, which I was reluctant at first,
Mm-hmm.
because as nice guys, we like to fix everything ourselves,
Right. Well,
right?
and you guys are taught too. Like it means you're a wimp. It means you're a pussy. It means you don't have it together. Like all that bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. And I just had to confront the fact that, hey, I failed in this and someone's going to help me out.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I'm a grown man. I'm in my late 30s. I shouldn't be having this problem or I
Yeah.
should be fixing it myself. So
Yeah. And yet again, I say this all the time, but most of us did not learn a lick about emotional connection or relational connection or intimacy or sex or any of that. It's like we were just thrown into the deep end.
I know, right? And there was no computer software to help you with that.
No,
When I was growing up, there
not
was
it's not
nothing
a
I
lot of
could.
ones and zeros.
Yeah, it was like, what? No one teaches you this. So nothing. So none of that. I didn't get that until I started getting coaching and
Yeah.
support and therapy, and that's when I started to see the dark side of me.
Yes, that's what I was just curious about, right? Like what was revealed as the dark side and what do you see other men's, as other men's dark sides that are revealed?
So when I started to see the dark side, there was parts of me I was like, wow, I'm really insecure.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of insecurities, a lot of neediness,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, um, that translated into being more possessive, sometimes being more controlling,
Yeah.
because inside I was feeling scared. And that I wanted it my way
Mm-hmm.
because I was looking for a peaceful way. Like it's got to be a certain way. And anytime anything that triggered my insecurities, it just rattled me. And I didn't have the tools or the communication or the capacity to manage it myself
Right.
and be able to communicate what I was
That's
feeling.
Yes, I was thinking that too, right? To manage it yourself or to say, wow, I'm feeling nervous right now. I'm feeling scared right now, right? Like all of those are are taboo or something that you don't do as a man.
Yeah.
Then you get stuck holding it all on your own and trying to prop up your identity and that sense of, right, okay, how do I get control here so I don't have to
Mm,
feel this?
yeah. And that's what I was trying to get control. I was trying to make sense of it.
Yeah.
And so it was a tough time. There was parts of me I'm thinking, well, I'm seeing so much dark in me. I'm seeing so much the ugly side of me. I don't like it. And then there came a point when I saw my kids suffering. There was a lot of pain.
Yeah.
I felt embarrassed. And there came a point where I said, what's the point of being around?
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of being here? I'm suffering. I see my kids suffering. They hated it when they came here and my child's, I remember my older son asked me, he said, Dad, when are we coming home?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I said, no, well, your new home is with mum down there. And then he said something that really hurt. And he says, do you not want us?
Oh man. And that was the last thing, right? That-
Yeah,
Oh, those moments are so utterly shattering.
they are. They are. And he found it difficult. I was finding it difficult. I remember one day, um, their mum was picking them up. And I remember my son, he just ran inside. He ran inside. And I said, what's he doing? He said, Dad, I'll be 2 minutes. He ran inside and then he ran out with his duct tape. And then he hugged me and then he wrapped himself around me. And
He
he
duct
said,
taped himself to you?
he duct taped himself to me, and he said, Dad, in Formula One, they use duct tape because it's the strongest thing and it can hold anything.
I'm
So he
taking you
put,
with me.
yeah,
Wow. Yeah, it's so painful, and to know that we're having that, some impact on our children that we don't even know how it's going to go for their future relationships. And I've definitely found beauty even now as I'm dating again and talking to my kid who's 11 about what that's like and how I'm making my decisions and all those things. Like there's so much beauty in it, and there's so much darkness at times, and
yeah,
holding
absolutely.
their little hearts in ours.
It is, and when it's through those difficult times when I decided at one point, enough was enough. And I remember when I used to drop the kids back, I used to drink just to numb the pain.
Yeah.
And there was a part of me that said, no, this is not the way to do it.
Yeah.
Let's go through this. And, I'm thankful for the support I had. I was reluctant, but I had all the support. And that's when I decided, okay, it's enough is enough. Stop playing victim. Stop. You need to pull yourself out.
So
Uh,
how did you not play victim, pull yourself out without it being a lashing, or right, like not beating yourself up, but pulling yourself out and kind of pulling yourself through those dark moments that really feel shitty.
I remember listening to the Law of Attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I put it on repeat, and it was talking about you need to, it's all about what frequency you're at, what you're putting into your mind. To
Yeah.
put good stuff into your mind.
Yeah.
And that's what I needed to hear at that time. Put good stuff, put good stuff. Just think positive, just keep believing in yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
start cultivating that.
Which
And
sounds
that's
like
what
it
I
was a little bit of fake it till you make it at that point.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I said, okay, I used to go for a walk by the river, and I said, I've got so much to be grateful for.
Yeah.
Just look around and say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I used to get up in the morning and say, thank you, thank you, thank you. I
Mm-hmm.
still say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Every time I get up in the morning, I say the
Right.
three thank yous.
Yes.
Yeah. I said,
And
right,
even
let's,
it sounds like even in that time when there was a lot to not feel grateful for, you turned your attention to some of that gratitude.
it was. I mean, I had some bad days. it
Mhm.
wasn't, it wasn't always a walk in the park.
No.
So I had those bad days, and I thought, I'm going to get through this.
Hmm.
I'm going to get through this. And it was inspiring to listen to other men and women
Yeah.
who've gone
You've
through
gotten through
adversity.
it. Hmm.
Yeah, I went to lots of seminars and talks, and I used to listen to these amazing men and women who had a lot of challenges through their life,
Yeah.
and listening to their words, being around them, being around good, strong people
Yeah.
really helped.
Yeah. Right. It's really hard to do it alone. I don't want to say you can't do it alone because, maybe someone could, but man, that's the hard, even harder road.
Yeah, that's one advice I have is this road. We're tribal people. We're built
Yeah.
to support one another and be supported by other people.
Yeah.
Never do this on I could have not done this on my own.
No, I remember when I was going through my divorce, having a team of, I had one mentor who was amazingly just gifting her services to me because she'd been through divorce, and I was going to acupuncture, and I had a spiritual teacher. Like there was so many people that I was leaning on,
Mm.
and it was a little rough at some points to really realize, okay, I'm not doing this on my own, but also I don't think we are meant to. So when men come to you, and I know you have done groups and individual work, like what's one of the first steps of the recovery? It sounds like part of it is having to actually see some of those darker parts in themselves without what do you call it, like without pushing them away or without just trying to get rid of them.
It's accepting.
Yeah.
Accepting, it's one of the ways when I start coaching with someone or start working with someone, one of the things I like to do is a detox.
Mm-hmm.
I have an exercise called, it's something I created called judgment fuck exercise. That and
Love it.
and in that exercise, what we do is we look at all the things that we hate about other people, ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we start normalizing it rather than saying, oh, this is a really bad thing. And in one of the exercises, what we do is I allow them and say, look, start observing some of the dark things that show up,
Yeah.
and just be an observer of it. Don't make any judgment of it. Just observe
Just
all the things
observe.
that come.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And once we start observing it, then we take away the energy. When I discovered that I had a lot of shame, a lot of embarrassment,
Yeah.
because I didn't talk about my problems. And that was the most difficult thing is I kept a lot of my problems in the marriage.
To
What
yourself.
was happening? Yeah, and what was happening by me, I shared it with no one.
Yeah.
If I had a problem with in the relationship, I would never talk about it because I felt embarrassed. Like, why am I having this problem?
Right. It shouldn't be. Right. That's one of the main shame pieces is this should not be happening. I shouldn't have let this happen. Or if
Yeah,
this is happening, it means I'm somehow bad, weak, wrong,
exactly.
unlovable. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm incompetent. I don't have control of my situation, and from the outside, I want to show the world, hey, everything's great.
Yeah.
But behind closed doors, this is where the nice guy comes in. Hey, I'm nice to everything else, but inside I'm angry.
Yeah.
I'm resentful. I'm bitter. I'm
Yes.
pissed off.
Yes.
And
So
I
when they
suppress.
go through the judgment fuck exercise, which is the best name ever, um, and they start to observe, right? What where do they go from there? And how do you support them to cultivate that witness or that capacity to observe? Because I know for myself it's taken decades
Mm,
and observing there's still intense sensations, but I've come to recognize those as all right, they're sensations, or sometimes I feel even like I'm being almost scraped inside, like it's
yeah.
get dark and nasty and it feels like this is horrendous and why would I even want to be here, right?
Mm.
So how do you support men to feel those intense feelings and observe them?
Yeah, so they get a piece of paper and they start writing. I even got my kids to do this. So my kid suffered from a really bad OCD and he had
Hmm.
PTSD as well. So one day I got him to do the exercise, and there was some trauma that he had to process because of his stepdad.
Yeah.
So I got him to do this exercise, and I said, look, anything that comes up, just allow to express. If you want to swear in it, swear in it. They were like, really? I was like,
I know,
yeah.
this is awesome.
Yeah, they were like, all right. They
I'm
were like,
in.
all guns blazing. They're writing this, and I'm just saying this is part of you, but it's not you.
Yes. Yes.
This doesn't define you. This is a part of you. It's we call it taking out the trash. I'm taking out the trash from us because
Mhm.
I no longer want it to stink and have this. We want to rebuild a new foundation. From the new foundation, can we start building new
Yeah.
blocks, new
Don't want it
things?
to fester inside of you. I love that
Yeah,
you did it with your kid. I want to do it with my kid. That sounds
yeah, they love
really
it. They
awesome.
love this exercise.
Yeah.
And once they've taken everything out, then they burn the paper.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
That was the best part. They were like, Dad, we can burn it. I said, yeah, take in the garden,
We
not in
can
the
swear
house.
and burn.
Take take the garden. And they're like, can we do this exercise again? I'm like, yeah, sure, you
Yes.
can do it. So I
And
remember
then
doing
what do
this.
you guide them from there? What's the
And
next
then
part of
when
that?
then what we do is I take them to compassion
Mm,
to say, hey, listen, sometimes this judgment comes out. Oh, that person is, maybe that person's fat. Maybe they're not X, Y, and Z. Maybe they're incompetent. Maybe they're this. Because what's happening is as we're judging others, there's
hmm.
actually something inside of us.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in somebody else.
Yeah.
That person's fat. And then, I say, well, what do you see? Oh, that they have no self-control. Okay, where in your life do you feel like you have no self-control?
Hmm. And how can you have compassion for that for yourself?
Yeah,
Right. Because we can't, not that the goal is necessarily to problem solve, but there is a desire to, okay, how can I make the choices I want to make or have the, impact I want to have or the effect I want to have. And we
yeah,
can't really do that if we're doing it from a place of shame or judgment of ourselves rather than compassion.
yeah. That's the most important thing is when I start working with the guys, myself, my journey as well, is to take away and start integrating that we are light and dark.
Hmm.
I was giving an example today. I said, like a chef, when a chef, when he or she makes appetizing food,
Yeah.
and they're cutting up all the stuff, and there's so much rubbish or
Yeah.
trash, as you call it, as you American calls it. There's so much rubbish that comes out with it.
Yeah.
And I said, you've got a gourmet meal, amazing, delicious meal, but in that, if you go in any kitchen, there's a lot of stuff that you have to throw away.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's from the good, all that stuff that comes from the side. There's good and there's bad.
Yeah. It also reminds me of, that there are sweet flavors and there are bitter flavors and there are sour flavors, and all of those flavors combined actually make something delicious, right? If it's all sweet, it's like
Yeah.
too much, or if it's all bitter, it's
I'm
too
sure
hard to
some.
swallow. I know for some I
I'm
don't
sure
like
some.
sweet
I
too.
give you all sweet.
Most of us do, right? Most of us love the sweet and the joy and the love and all of those,
Yeah.
softer feelings.
Yeah. So, and it's seeing the both sides from it, seeing the both actually, something good does come from something bad.
Yeah.
When you're cutting up pepper or something, you don't take the whole pepper in, you cut it up and then you take the pieces that you need for that meal,
Yeah.
and the rest just goes in the trash.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so this is good. So we're dark and light and have to really, be with ourselves with compassion. And then where do you take them next?
Then I take them to a mindset. I call it the AB mindset. So the alpha mindset. So
Okay.
alpha in my terms is always lead purposefully,
Mm.
honorably, and audaciously.
Purposefully, vulnerably, and
On
audaciously in my American accent. I love it.
Yeah, so that's what alpha means to me. So alpha, and then we have the guys understand the archetypes differently. Like for example, the beta male, the nice guy syndrome. He's the one who struggles with the mindset. So I take him to a mindset that's like, if you were to save the world,
Yeah.
and you had to go into two tents, the A or the B,
Yeah.
what kind of conversation is going on in the beta male tent, the nice guy tent? What's the
Mm,
conversation going on? The strong, the leaders, the purposeful men.
mm,
How are they talking to themselves? How are they talking to each other? And that's the mindset then I said, look, we're going to adopt this mindset.
uh-huh. The
So what I do,
purposeful. Hmm.
yeah. So they're purposeful, they're honorable, they're
Hmm.
audacious, they're strong.
Yeah.
And then I give them an exercise every day. They have to text me for 14 days minimum. They have to text me how much of their thought was strong and how much of
Mhm.
their thought was weak.
Wow.
So sometimes I get a client, I had a text this morning and says, 70% strong, 30% weak.
Uh-huh.
Some days it's like 60%, 70% bad,
Yeah.
weak, and then 30%. I said, okay, cool. Let's review it and then just move on.
Yeah. Right. Not to judge, but just to track and to know where you are.
Yeah. One of the most charismatic things that charismatic people do is they quickly move on. They
Mm.
stumble, they have something wrong. Okay, this happened. I'm not going to dwell in this. I'm not going to just sit in this pit.
Yep.
Just going to move on.
Yep.
It's a muscle. It's a muscle I have to practice.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting. I just had this flash of when my kid fell yesterday and then got up and was like, pretty rattled. And I was like, oh, be careful. And she was like, that's not helpful. Like you're basically telling me to be careful, but I already like it was just this whole thing where I just thought, oh, right. Okay.
Mhm.
How do we speak to ourselves and our loved ones in a way from that purposeful place, but also from compassion and from really being present with someone to know what
Yeah.
impact we want to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I remember,
No.
it's like a lot of my codependency was showing up in a relationship. So codependency for me, when I learned about codependency and
Yeah.
measurement,
Yeah.
I learned my coach said, he said, you're still connected to mum. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And he said, you're still connected to mum, and how your relationship with mum is how your relationship is with me. I'm like, this is so alien to me. But when I started learning about codependency and measurement, how my relationship with mum affects my relationship. So I was trying to rescue other women,
Yeah.
save other women. And my emotional center was with other women, with my partners or with my
Yep.
ex-wife or who I was with. So if she's happy, I'm happy. If she's sad, I'm sad. The world's
Right.
bad.
Yeah. That is a huge one to actually make that distinction of, oh my gosh, I'm not on that roller coaster. I can be a separate sovereign being
Mm-hmm.
with love and compassion, but I don't have to be dragged around by someone else's state.
That's it. I need to be the lighthouse rather than just be and move with the wave.
I like that. The lighthouse is a great analogy.
Yeah, to stay grounded. When the storm comes, I'm
Mhm.
staying grounded. And I didn't realize that that's what the masculine provides the feminine. That's what's so
Mm,
attractive to women is the fact is I'm the masculine is grounded. And when the storm is coming, whether the storm is from her or the world,
yeah.
he's not going to buckle.
Yep.
He's not
Yeah.
going to shy away. He's not going to run away.
Ah, it feels good.
It does, doesn't it?
It
It
does.
feels good for us inside. And then with when I'm with my partner or when I'm with someone in the feminine, she feels a lot safer.
Hmm.
And I thought making her safe or was to fix the
To
problem.
fix it, right? And to
Yeah,
logically solve, okay, this is, and that can be part of it, right? But if we're not emotionally connected first, or if we're not,
that's it.
right,
There's,
then that fixing just feels like a band-aid or a slap in the face sometimes.
it does. And it feels like you're disconnected. You're not actually
Right. You're missing
empathizing.
me.
Yeah. And it feels like I'm not emotionally connecting.
Yeah.
And a
I
lot of the
think that's
time,
what a lot of women mean. Sorry, I was just thinking when they say like you're
yeah,
not hearing me, it's like you're hearing my words, but I'm not, you're not feeling me is really probably what's happening.
exactly. When my ex-wife used to say, you don't understand me, you don't listen to me. What I now understand is when a woman says you don't listen to me, she meant you don't listen to the emotions.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
that level, I'm like,
And you're
ah,
not with me, right? You're not like, right, you're not in this with me sorry, you're not in this in a heartfelt way with me.
yeah,
You're being your mind.
exactly. I'm solving it. I've got my fixer hat on.
Yeah.
All I needed to do is just be present
Yeah.
and allow that emotion to pass without getting attached to her emotion.
Yeah.
That was the most difficult thing is because when she's feeling the emotion, I can stay grounded and within myself. And
Hmm.
I remember one of the most freeing things in my life was working on my own happiness.
Yes.
So when I was working on my happiness was no longer tied to my partner.
Yep.
So if she's sad or she's having a bad day, I could be there and be supportive, but not be sucked in by it.
Yeah. And I love that you're saying that too, because it does feel like it takes work to find that place of happiness because of how most of us were taught or not taught or neglected
Mm.
or smothered or whatever it was. It
Mm.
takes something, it takes some work to actually find that internal state of happiness.
It does, it does. And I remember I was running a event in central London, and it was on happiness. And usually at the events I used to organize, I used to talk on them as well. And I remember saying to my friend, "This is one event I can't talk on
Mm,
because I'm not
haven't
fully
found it for
fully
myself.
there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't feel I don't feel like I have the authority to talk about happiness when I feel like there's a huge void missing inside of me.
Yeah. I love that you voiced that too. And then, at that point, it sounds like you weren't keeping that to yourself and just drowning in it. You actually shared it with someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when I went on this journey, especially doing the men's work, the nice guy recovery work, and one of the most important things of the nice guy recovery work is starting to fill your own bucket.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Even when even when I started life coaching, so I stumbled across life coaching. It chose me rather than I chose it.
Yeah.
And when I started public speaking and I was coaching and supporting and helping people, I remember, they say if you help other people, you feel good.
Hmm.
But I was like, I'm helping people and I still feel shit.
Hmm.
So why it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But what I realized was I was helping still other people from the nice guy syndrome.
Uh-huh.
I was giving to get.
Right.
I was had expectations. If I do this, then I'll get something back. But what I hadn't realized was I wasn't filling my own bucket. I wasn't self-caring.
Got it. So you were like caring for them and supporting them, which does give some kind of, I don't know whether it's joy or peace or love or delight or something,
It's a temporary hit.
but right, a temporary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just felt it was a temporary hit. It's like, wow, I've done something cool. I've coached someone, helped someone, but then I felt empty inside.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. I know we could keep going, for hours and hours, but is there anything else that feels important on the outlining of the recovery journey, after compassion, after filling their own bucket and finding their own happiness?
Yeah. So my message to men out there is don't do it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
There are some incredible men's coaches out there, yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's men's groups. There's a huge movement towards helping men regain their masculinity.
Yep.
Masculinity isn't a bad or evil thing. It's
Mm-mm.
it's the absence of the healthy role models that we need. That's what we need. We need
It's
some
the
healthy role models.
absence. You said you're right. Masculinity in itself is beautiful, and it's been
Mm.
blamed and shamed and called toxic or whatever, but you're saying there's some kind of absence in there.
Yeah. So a lot of the struggles that men have, and I believe it's the absence of masculinity. That's why they have it.
I see. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because when I started to cultivate my masculine side more, which is order, structure, discipline, consistency,
Mm,
focus, purpose, self-caring habits, then I started to feel more loved for
got it.
myself, internally validated. I started to feel happy. I started to feel more emotionally stable. And I see the
Mm,
same thing with guys.
awesome.
I wasn't no longer in the emotional victim pit.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't all over the
Right.
place.
It takes
I was,
some it's a paradox. It takes a discipline to, right, to commit to some of those more um intangible emotions like joy and love and
it
passion and
does,
all of
it
that.
does. Yeah. And it really saved my life.
Mm,
It helped me to feel more confident,
yeah.
strong.
Yeah.
I can be there as a strong father for my kids.
Mm-hmm.
As a person in business, my clients, it's given me so many gifts. And at first I was very shameful because I felt I had a huge feminine side,
Mm,
because a lot of the nice guys are over cultivated on the feminine side because they're surrounded by women, they're around women
yeah.
who don't help them to nurture their masculine side.
Yep.
So when I started nurturing my masculine side, I started feeling more at peace. First it felt really
Mm,
unnatural,
yeah.
right? Then it started
But
feeling,
then you
oh
start feeling more at peace. Yeah. I think
yeah.
that's really powerful. Just having flashes of different people and clients I've worked with. And
Mm.
and that most nice guys, what I really love is that I think it's actually harder oftentimes to cultivate the feminine and the depth of love and care and all of that. And so when you already have that and you add the structure and the discipline,
Yeah,
it's gorgeous. It's hot, it's exciting,
it
to
is.
be
It
around a
is.
man who has both.
Yeah. And women are craving for this.
Yeah.
Women are craving. When I speak to women, they're craving for the fact that he can connect with his emotions,
Yeah.
but he has a masculine side, the discipline side. So it doesn't run away. So he doesn't start emotionally vomiting
Yes.
or getting too needy, or he has some emotional framework
Right.
around it.
Right. Needing me as a woman to fix him or make him feel better, right? Of course we can love each other and support each other and grow together
Yeah.
and help each other feel better. But if it's like, oh, I need you and without you, I'm not gonna be okay, then
Yeah.
that's a lot of
That's a big
pressure.
turn off, right?
Yeah.
That's a big turn off, right?
Yeah. And both ways, right? I mean, most men I know don't want that either to
Mm.
be on the receiving end of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you're in the role of savior, right? The nice guy savior, then there's something about it that you get filled, but eventually it wears itself out.
Yeah, because when you start to save, you're constantly saving and rescuing,
Yeah.
you're realizing, why isn't this working?
Yeah.
And why does it work and then it goes away? And then your happiness is based on that.
Yes. Yeah, totally. Well, thank you so much for this and for the work that you do with the amazing men who have big hearts and, deep hearts and often don't
Mm.
feel seen or understood. And there's like a kind of sensitivity or a way of feeling other people and being in the world in a way that's pretty vulnerable, and yet then and trying to hide all of that and not feeling right or good enough. So thank you for supporting men. And where can people find you if they want more of you?
Thank you as well, and I really appreciate the journey and talking to you as well, and learning about some of the experiences that you have. It's great to get both sides and both perspectives on this. So
Yeah.
guys can reach to me on masculine.co. So it's www.masculine.co. And
Awesome.
there they can just there's some blogs, there's some information on how help the guys to become more confident, charismatic, and charming with the ladies, and feel good as a man.
Awesome. Thank you so much.